Hi, welcome back to Milton Mo Junction. As I mentioned in my last video, what I intend to do now is sort out this station area and mainly the platforms. Now, I've watched various videos on YouTube, people's channels, and obviously pinched a lot of ideas from different channels, but I've had a look at the way people have built stations, and I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm trying to make it easy for myself, to be honest, so this is what I've come up with. Obviously, as you can probably see, they're 18mm pieces of MDF. Now what I've done is I've cut out, at the moment, 4 strips. I need 5, I need one at the end as well. I've cut out 4 strips, and as I say, there will be 5. 3 inches wide. I've worked out 3 inches is probably about best for me. It allows me to get my buildings on, and it's wide enough to look sort of realistic, and also it allows me to get 11 tracks down through this area. Obviously the outer 2 platforms I'm having to cut around the joists, the beams, but on the far side, the back seam will help cover that up. On this scene, it'll just have to be part of the scenery, so that's not really a problem. So what I've done now is, as I say, I've cut the 4 strips to that width, and I've roughly shaped them. You'll see from these 3 here that they needed shaping for the rails to fit. Now obviously I haven't done it perfectly, because if I left them as they are, coaches would hit the platform, and it needs shaping a bit better, but I've done it roughly. What I need to do now is fix the rails, because they're only laying at the moment, they're not fixed at all. I need to fix the rails, straighten the rails. Obviously the one at the far end needs straightening. Fix the rails down, and once I've done that, I'll be able to properly shape the platforms. I'm going to do that by sanding them, as I said, and when I've done that, then we'll get on to the next stage of my plan. So see you shortly. Well, I've done a little bit more. I've obviously cut the last platform. Just what I think about it, I mentioned that I'd cut the platforms 3 inches wide. They're actually 3.5 inches wide, although the last platform, this one here, I've cut 3.25 inches wide. I didn't want it protruding too far into my diesel yard. So I've now sanded all the ends of the platforms, and I've used a couple of long coaches there to make sure that everything goes around the bends. I've made the straights as reasonably straight as possible. It's always difficult, but yeah, so that's about it for the moment for this stage. And I've made a long large bit up the other end. You can see up here, that's where the station's going to actually go. So my next idea is to router the edges of the wood to leave a little overhang, and I probably won't do it for every surface. Obviously I'll do it for this surface. I might do it for the first sort of bit on this side, but there's no point doing it on the far sides of each platform, because you won't see it, and don't see the point of making work for yourself when it's not necessary. But I might just do the edges, and then see how that looks. Obviously I haven't done the slopes at the end of the platforms yet either, because I've got an idea, a different idea how to do that. But let's get on with the routing, and I'll come back to you after that. Right, I've come out of the loft down into the garage, where I carry out most of my cutting and shaping the wood, and as you can see, there's one platform. Now what I've done, there's the rest of them all lined up there. Obviously you can see that I've now sprayed them with a grey paint. It's basically just a primer, a grey Halford's primer, just to give them some sort of colour rather than the wood. But if we come in and have a look, what I've actually done, I've rebaited the edge to give the platform overhang. So that's rebaited, and what I've done, I've been a bit lazy, I haven't done it on the side that won't show, it doesn't seem a lot of point. But the other thing I've done is I'll show you here, I've cut the slope but underneath, so the slope is actually underneath. I then cut a hole, a slit, and then it bends down to meet it. This one, as you can see, is cracked a little bit. That won't actually show when I've painted it because I'll have textured paint over the top to cover that up. But I think I'll find a way around that. I'll cut down a little bit deeper, and I may well damp it, just let it have a little bit of dampness in it, and that may well stop the cracking. But so far so good. Coming to the conservatory, where I've been doing a bit of work on the paint and textures, doing some test bits. I've got a bit of wood, same as the platform. This isn't hasn't been sprayed at all, but it's just plain wood, and I've different coats on it, different colours. This is textured tarmac, light tarmac, and this is textured dark tarmac. I think I quite like the textured light tarmac, so I may well go for that. I've done an edging, but the edging here, obviously you can see it's not white enough. It's supposed to be off-white, but it's obviously not. I'll have to get a white and do it with that, and then weather it afterwards. And also the front here, I've been experimenting on this. Obviously I've got a choice of different plastic card bricks or even card bricks to stick on the front. Incidentally, there's no lip on this one, it's just a test bit. But I've also done this front with a textured concrete, which I've put a little bit of plastic card as a rib, and I might place those every so often, and then just paint the whole thing as this textured concrete, which I think a lot of modern platforms are now. So that's my preference at the moment. I may well change my mind when I've done a full length one, but we'll see. I'll show you later. Right, this is just to show you again what I was talking about. I've cut the slit in the bottom, and if you press that down, it just slopes enough, just gives enough there to give a slope. There's enough spring in it to slope it, so when that's glued or pinned down, that'll be fine. Great. Right, as you can see, I've now finished one platform complete and pinned it down in position. What I decided to do in the end, the fascia, the front of it, I did as a sort of more modern aspect with concrete. I created that simply by cutting little bits of plastic and sticking them on for the raised bits, and then painting the whole thing with green scenes concrete textured paint, so it gives a nice realistic concrete look. The top is in, again, the same range of paints, and it's tarmac, textured tarmac, light tarmac, that one. So that's all now finished. It's all pristine, of course, so it'll need weathering, but I'll leave that till I've laid the track and the ballast, and I'll do the whole thing at the same time. I've also done this second platform. That's now in position. Haven't put it, haven't sort of pinned it down or anything yet, because as you can see, this the idea where I shave the bottom and cut it so it bends. and pin it down. Seems to work okay. And I've got the edging. I haven't finished the edging at the far end because let's have a look if I can get around there. Because I've got this other platform to join up to it, and I'll finish it in situ, so that's a need to finish. I'll show you when I've laid all the platforms, or finished building and painting all the platforms, and pin them down. See you later. Okay, well, all the platforms are in position and screwed down. Oh, they've actually finished. Everything's finished now on the platforms apart from the weathering. As I say, they all look a bit pristine and clean, but I'll do the weathering of the platforms when I do the weathering of the track and the ballasting. But I'm leaving that for the time being because I want to see what I'm going to put down there as far as track furniture is concerned and signals, etc., which I probably want to get done before I do the ballasting, so everything's sort of linked together. So I'll probably leave this area and get on with something else. Possibly going to do the high level now and get the town scene sorted out over there, over on the far corner over there. But of course I need the high track coming out of the end of this corner here to join up and go to it, so I may concentrate on that. The reason is I need to get the end bridges where that's going to go across, and that's going to go on the platform at the end, the furthest platform at the end, and cut that off. So I can't really sort of do this area until I know where the bridge is going to come for the raised track. So that's probably going to be my next job. But let me know what you think about the way I've done the platforms, and with that cut underneath and bending them. But yeah, feel free to comment and subscribe, and I'll speak to you later. Bye for now.